Coming to you from Strings and Things Studio in Ventura, California, this is the Strings Unraveled podcast. Yay! How's it going, guys?
This time of year is always challenging for me. Because I don't want to, be a Grinch.
Yeah.
But I am naturally a Grinch.
Yeah.
We'll never have anything done on time. I hate the stress of it all building up to it. And I don't like the new year coming because it reminds me of all the things I didn't get done leading up to it.
Yeah, I can see that. I am not a Grinch because
no, you're not.
I'm just in general, but I'm married to one, so I understand. I'm good at encouraging people's holiday spirits. I feel
good.
like
That's Kevin. So
yeah.
You do Kevin's role. Kevin's just he decorates the day after Thanksgiving. He gets the tree up with the kids.
Yeah.
And he suffers my glowering of ugh, Christmas is coming.
Okay, raise your hand. Not that you can see it, but raise your hand if you are still if it's the 3 days before
the 21st.
It's the 21st. You really only have 4 days left to do something, get all your stuff done.
You really only have 3 days left.
Yeah.
I'm talking about right up to the day of.
I have, I finished a scarf for my sister-in-law once for Christmas, the morning of Christmas before her family came over. And it was, remember the ruffle scarf from Misty Alpaca?
Yep.
It's cast on 15 or something with this cool slip stitch pattern. And I whipped one of those out in time to give it to her for Christmas that afternoon.
So many people were impressed with that. That was just such a fun, easy pattern.
It's a great stitch pattern. So happy holidays, everyone.
I feel like I haven't seen you guys, Anne and Karen, you guys, in forever.
You've been every time I see your Instagram, Universal Studios, Disneyland. I'm like, dang, that's cool.
Last December, James and I went on an overnight trip because he's a Grinch. So I try to make things that he'll be excited to do during the holidays. So we went out of town last year, just as an overnight trip, just a you and me thing. We didn't have time to do that this year, so we went to Universal Studios yesterday, and Karen so graciously covered me so that I could take a day off and do that. So that's where I was yesterday.
We traded, so that was okay.
Yeah.
Kevin has a similar approach. He applies that idea to New Year's to soften this grumpiness that I have about the new year. We'll take a overnight trip for whatever days we can get leading up to New Year's Eve. This year we're going to Solving.
Fun.
Which no, I have a rain cloud I can bring to it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I like that.
I was waiting.
Well, because I don't have Monday off. But we are trying to keep it a half day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drive back to Ventura, and then I'll go back to Solving.
Oh.
For New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. All that driving.
But I don't want to ask for the day off. So
No.
I don't want to waste a day off. So not going to do it.
I think between my husband and I, he's the one who has all the Christmas spirit, and I'm the Scrooge of the bunch. Mostly because, to me, it's just there's all that work and prep up into the day of, and then for me it always means making lots of food, and everything is all about the planning, and so that, and then it's not like we can sleep in. It's 5 a.m. sometimes 4:30 a.m. and I'm trying to tell them, sun. For the longest time when the kids were little, I could say, if the sun's not up, it's not time yet.
Yes. I
had
that line.
You can only hold them off for so long.
Yeah.
And
we always had to wait for my dad to get up, and he would lengthen that amount of time as long as possible, and we'd wait in front of their bedroom door, and it was well, Dad has to take a shower before he can go downstairs, and so we probably didn't go. It was probably still far too early, but that was a rule. It's we weren't allowed to go downstairs until Dad was ready.
Of course, I wonder if...
And Dad took his sweet time.
if we let them unwrap one thing the night before, would that tide them over? Probably not.
No. I'd have a hard time with that because it just wasn't how I was raised.
This is just one. It doesn't feel right.
But to make our own tradition. I might have talked about this before, but on Christmas Eve, my immediate family, my 3 children, my husband and I, do a handmade gift exchange.
Oh, that's fun.
So that's our Christmas Eve.
Oh, I remember last year when you had the kids, when we were still at Anacapa, and you had the kids coming 2
years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
When Dante and I came and sewed all day.
That was so fun.
It was fun. He made little shark pillows for everyone. So
it was just adorable watching him.
We do like a white elephant gift exchange on Christmas Eve.
Do you guys get vicious about it?
My grandma made my little cousin cry once.
I like her.
He was little. He was like 7 or 8, and he really loved like Charlie Brown and Peanuts, especially like Charlie Brown Christmas. And it was either a puzzle or like Charlie Brown Monopoly or something like that, or like an Uno game or something like that. And he had it, and she stole it from him. And he cried. She gave it back to him because she's a nice grandma. But
I love it.
Yeah, so it can get
a little
vicious.
competitive.
It could get a little bit.
I really like that.
No taking it easy on them just because they're kids.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Teach them a life lesson right there.
Okay, so we're all working on getting ready for the impending Christmas holiday in some fashion. Yeah. And we have new classes starting in January, so we're getting ready for that. But what are you working on right now, Karen?
A class sample that I was so close to finishing 2 class sessions ago, but then it got hot, and who wants to do this heavy wool poncho in the summer? But it's actually a really this is a super fun crochet. She's calling it a poncho. It feels more like a pullover sweater with a oversized a swancho. Exactly. Only there's no color work. It's all texture. Mm-hmm. So it looks like horizontal, like it's like the crochet version of garter stitch. Mm-hmm. And then it looks like it's got cables, but it's just really cool. Let's see. FPDC to TOG.
Front post 2 together.
Double crochet 2 together. Yeah.
That's cool.
What's the name of the pattern?
I was getting it wrong for the longest time. It's called Melt.
Melt
by Elena Fedotova.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And
it was great icy blue. It's really pretty.
I love this. This is by Woolfolk.
I love Woolfolk.
I just am falling in love with them.
Mm-mm.
It's not Woolfolk. It's
Woolstock.
It's Blue Sky Alpaca.
It's Woolstock with it. Yeah. No C. Woolstock. Now this says worsted. Mm-hmm. Some people will look at it and it almost feels like it's like a light worsted DK, and depending on if you're on Ravelry or on some website, it's considered 2 different things. But it does feel like a worsted on a G. But yeah, it's called Thermal. It's 100% fine Highland wool and thermal spring. It's this really pretty icy blue. You know, like if you see pictures of glaciers and they are almost glowing this light blue, that's what this color is.
Yeah, that's
and it has different hues of light and dark, but not really dark.
I have 3 skeins of that yarn in my stash of different colors, and that's one of them. Plus I have like a sunshiny yellow and like a grassy green.
Every time
I don't know what to do with it.
At the store in Ohio, I pick up that yellow and think,
yep,
I should make Katie something out of this yellow.
I have a skein of it in my stash because I love that yellow.
It screams you.
This
but
project,
I don't know what to do with it.
Well, originally I bought this for a different project, and then I was almost done with that project, but then I just I'm never going to wear this, and I'm not going to teach this. There's way too many ends to weave in, so I ripped it all back, and I'm super happy with this.
Cool.
It's it's like a sponge. So I am adding some to it because even though it'll block, it feels like it's gonna hit me at the waist, and I really want it to be a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited about that. That's gonna be a class sample coming up, and I still have to get my dates. I'm working on it tonight, mistress. Of the cracking the whip.
It's just time, so we get our email out to our people.
It is. And people ask us when the class is coming out, so. That's always a good sign.
Stay tuned. Or you'll have it by the time this airs.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You absolutely will have it by the time this airs. I hope you've signed up for everything you like by the time this airs, in fact.
So what are you working on?
I am working on the mitered cross blanket that is a Mason-Dixon pattern.
I love that pattern.
I really like it. I've been watching it on their feed for a while, and it just looks really cozy. And all of the proceeds from it get donated to a charity. I'll look at what the charity is. I happen to have it open in my Ravelry window, like I planned something.
Lucky you.
I did not plan that. All proceeds from this pattern are donated by the designer to Mercy Corps, an international relief and development organization. As of July 31st, 2017, $24,750 has been donated.
Awesome.
And it's just a really smart little mitered corner square. The pattern has you make 10 of them, and it's a row of 3, and then you offset so the 2 are centered under the 3. I think I'm going to add an extra, like make it 5 rows, so I'm going to make an extra 3. And then I have this I got a little fascinated with this black yarn that's a tweed with a rainbow in it. So it's got purple and green and yellow and red and
sort of.
Yeah, they're flecks of tweed, and it's fun. It's just lovely. It's all acrylic, but it's there's the acrylics you touch that are like, oh yeah, that. And then there's the acrylics you touch and they're like, this is all right.
Yeah.
So that's what
a blanket is the perfect place for that.
Yes,
I feel like every yarn has its place.
Yes.
You just have to find it,
Even
and you use it in the wrong place, and it's like, well, I hate this yarn.
Yeah.
Well,
even
you're
those
using it for the wrong
acrylics
thing.
that are like not so pleasant to
You
touch.
found a super interesting place to put that squeaky, scrubby type of acrylic. No,
I don't want to talk about it because it's the Christmas present project for our gift exchange that I abandoned.
Oh no!
I think I was working on them last time, so I think I talked about it last time.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can cut that out.
And that yarn is meant to be for scrubbing things.
Not for the bottom of your
It's
foot.
called scrubology. So
that didn't work out.
Actually that project, they're the slippers with the double knit sole, so that the weird rough yarn is touching the ground. They work great, and I have probably refined the pattern to where I want it to be. But the double knitting's a little hard on my hands, and I just haven't been in the mood to work on it because I'd have to work on it at night when everybody's asleep. So, and they all think they're getting them. So I found something different to make them.
Nice.
So tonight and tomorrow.
Well, that'll teach him to have expectations.
Yeah, I like to squash those. I think it's what makes me an effective parent.
You never know what you're gonna get. Yeah, and it's a box of chocolates.
Yes, I am. So I'm going to make those bowl pot holders, which I've been intending to make since the first time I saw them years ago. So, I think everyone's actually going to be pretty delighted by. So
that's cool. This is coming out after Christmas, so we could talk all we want about what we're making for people.
None of them listen to this anyway.
Sad.
Dante, my middle son, my 10-year-old, he was really fascinated by the first episode. Yeah. So if I told him where to find it, he would probably listen to it while he's playing on video.
Yeah, it's adorable. For some reason, I just can't get my family, not even my husband, to you just with your girlfriend sitting around the table talking. Yeah.
Simple.
I mean, I don't listen to the same podcast James listens to for a reason, so I can understand that maybe it wouldn't be up to. I mean, who wouldn't want to listen to us because we're so fun? But
no, my husband watches this one. Mick here, Dave here, and all they do is talk about guitar pedals.
And that's
probably
loves riveting to him. Yeah.
Well, it is, except that he always watches it late at night when I follow him, kind of sometimes when he's snoozing louder than
the
Mick
podcast.
and Dave. But they're from Australia, so they sound quite interesting.
I like that.
If they didn't have the accent, I might not be interested.
There you go. I like the Australian accent, but sometimes when you listen too closely to it, it's strange.
Yeah.
Well, it can
like
be
any accent.
So if anyone's interested, it's called The Pedal Show.
The Pedal Show.
It's about pedals. There you go. It is what it is.
I know nothing about music, but a whole show for
pedals?
Guitar
pedals? Oh my gosh.
I mean, I could see
just watching some musicians and how they use them. They're like instruments themselves, right?
That's crazy.
Okay. Close your eyes. Imagine for a moment.
I'm closing my eyes.
I'm not closing
when
my
you
eyes.
that when you watch a video of someone that has the wall of yarn behind them in all the colors and it's all neatly organized, and you're not listening to them because you're looking at the wall behind them. Well, these people, and they have the wall of pedals, and there's all different colors and different knobs, and it's actually kind of pretty and fascinating.
That's pretty cool.
All right then.
For the right person, right?
Yeah, I know.
And it won't be me because I have no musical talent.
Me either.
But there's some guitarists who like use the pedals like they are a unique instrument.
They each have a different warmth or rhythm, or they have a purpose. They're a tool, but they, yeah.
I recommend Joseph Arthur if you want to hear some like very cool use of guitar pedals. I don't know if that's really just in his like live performances or if he makes use of it in his studio recording too. I imagine he must, but very cool. So yeah, I'm making a blanket, and I think I could do like a square week, and then
Great segue.
Because I always like overdo ideas. I was because I was thinking this might be a fun 2-night class as well. But all the colors that my family likes are in these. So
is each background going to be a different color?
Yeah, so like I think I could do a pink for Belly, Mirabella. Dante likes blue or green. Alexander likes red, and they're all in here. So if I do a square week, that is 52 squares of 13 for 4 blankets. Kevin will just have to share his with mine, which I would be starting with his because it has the purple background. I'm working on everything I shouldn't be working on.
Oh, yeah.
I picked up my Turkish spindle.
Wow.
I'm about halfway through 4 ounces of some delicious superwash merino that I think that I got up in Portland, probably at Twisted, but I can't tell because there's no name on the price tag. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, that might be where that came from. Just absolutely things I should not be
Remind
working
me again, the Turkish spindle versus, is that the one that looks like the crisscross top?
Yeah, it's a bottom whorl.
Bottom whorl, and the little Jenga pieces come apart.
I have a super cool one that I'm using right now that's from Snyder Spindles. It's one of his like bigger ones. I don't know what the weight is.
Is that the one with the really cool like carved wood animals?
Yeah, it's a T-Rex, which I think I'm the first person.
Cool. Yeah,
I think I'm the first person who he made that for, because there was something he put on Instagram or whatever, and it just in glancing it looked like dinosaurs. It might have been like the cats jumping or whatever. One of the ones he already made. And I said, "Gosh, have you ever thought about making a T-Rex?" And he's like, "No, but I'll do that." And he like had it in the mail the next week.
That's amazing.
Where's this other spindle maker?
Who is this?
Snyder. It's his Snyder Spindles on Instagram and his Etsy as well. And a lot of people have Snyder Spindles. Beautiful,
and they sell out fast.
Yeah. So he also makes top whorls and really cool things, but I like the Turkish spindle the most. Like picking up a Turkish spindle finally made drop spinning make sense to me.
And it winds into a ball while you're when you're done.
I think they call it a turtle.
A turtle.
The little
it
ball
looks like a turtle.
On your Turkish spindle, I believe you call it turtle.
I love that.
Do they have turtles in Turkey?
I don't know.
Probably.
Why not?
Why not?
Please tell us.
Okay, well now that totally makes sense because I have a 3D printed one's by Turtle Made. Duh. I never understand. I thought, well, she likes turtles, and I guess she makes them.
I like turtles too. You know, that you weren't wrong. I'll bet. What do you got going, Katie?
I am working on a hat.
Yarn.
I just split a stitch, so I'm trying to fix it. I'm working on a sample for a class. This is for the basic brioche beanie class. It is it's a pattern by Megan Schmaltz called B to the 3. It's a basic brioche beanie. It's a free pattern, but it's just single color brioche. And I am using a skein of yarn from my friend Courtney. Her Instagram handle is Daughter of Halloween, and her Etsy shop is Ms. Monster Creations. And she had this whole collection. She called it her Snowed In collection, so it was all wintry holidays. And this color is called New England's Winter Playground, which is a reference from White Christmas, which is like my favorite Christmas movie. So I mostly just bought it for the name, but it's a beautiful skein of like turquoisey, icy blues, little pops of brown and tan. James liked it when I bought it. It would be a great colorway for a dude too, but I
It's
really
pretty,
like it.
but I could see it being masculine
Yeah.
also. So, White Christmas.
Yes.
Mirabelle and I are just going to snuggle up and actually watch it. Maybe we'll watch it this weekend. I put it on a couple weeks ago, like early in December. And my husband, I know he doesn't like it. I think it's because his sisters played it to death when he was little. And so he hates it.
Yeah.
But I put it on, whatever. Mirabelle and I are enjoying it. So it gets to where the girls are singing Sisters, or whatever that song is called.
Sisters.
Yeah. And so, and Mirabella and I are just like completely zoned out on it.
Yeah.
Well, my son and my husband are, you know, pulsating with disgust in the corner. And Mirabelle and I are enjoying it. And I'm like, I'll turn it off right after this. And they're dancing with those fans.
I
And
love
it's
that.
almost
I want to
done.
make those
Yeah,
costumes.
so the turquoise is, I mean, it may
Yeah.
not be intentional, but it makes
Yeah.
me think of the fans. So Mirabella turns to me when they are just about done with their dances, just completely that like enraptured look of wow, that's pretty, you know? And she
Yeah.
turns and says, "Those fans, I gotta have those."
They do look very fun to play
Yeah,
with.
and I'm like, I know, Mirabella. I've always thought that.
Did you get to the part where the boys sing it? Because that's
No.
the best part.
That is
oh,
good.
that's the best
But
part.
we absolutely turned it off right then because I didn't
You
want
couldn't torture them anymore?
and I didn't want to watch it with them griping.
Yeah.
I'm like, this
So-
is a fun holiday movie.
We've
with
been
great
watching.
music.
We've been watching it all this week, and because we only have like a half hour where we're awake, so we watch a half
Yeah.
hour at night, and then because then we can watch something else if we want to fall asleep
that's
too.
Nice,
So we just
though.
kind of get, except for whatever reason, my grouchiness has been really bad this year because I am totally judging her.
Oh,
I'm judging her.
Rosemary Clooney.
Oh,
or-
because here one night she's in love, and the next night, oh my gosh, if looks could kill, she's such a judgy bitch. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry.
on a pillow. So that goes on your pillow. I shared something before we started recording about someone who was rude to me at my other job who said in writing, "You seem to be an intelligent woman."
Oh,
So I want that on my pillow. Oh, can't wait to find out what's going on
Oh,
Katie's pillow.
It's just, you know, and then when
writing
she
that
finally
down.
discovers that what he's really doing, but the fact that she judged him so harshly based on the word of some busybody is like,
Yeah.
what kind of neuroses is she dealing with? It she just made an excuse. So I'm like, why am I judging it by today's standards, by today's psychology?
If you judge that movie by
And I
today's
love that
standards,
movie.
it does not age well at all.
No. So you just gotta turn
There's a
the
part where Bing Crosby threatens to beat up two women, and you kind of just have to be like, I'm ignoring that part of the movie.
Oh yeah.
He's like, if I find those two girls, I'm going to take them by the hair, and then he gets interrupted. You're like, what were you going to say, babe?
Well, that's one of my favorite, The Quiet Man with John Wayne and
Oh my-
the most beautiful
yes.
redhead in the world. What is her name?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
you
know
guys
exactly
all
what
know.
you're talking about.
Maureen O'Hara.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
I love that
Yes,
movie.
Okay, so when he's dragging
When
her
he's
back
dragging
to
her
the
through the
house,
city.
yeah.
I came into my parents were
she's
watching
my
that. I was
hero.
like, what are you watching?
And the one old lady says, "I stick
I
to
stick
being
to
your lovely lady."
That's exactly the part I came in on. I was like, what movie is this? A stick
love
to beat
that
the lady
movie.
with. I was like, wow.
Okay. Quick question about White Christmas. The dancer. How do you feel about her figure? Because every single year we have this. He and I are very.
I can't picture that part. The dancing?
The
dancer.
sister.
This is the little sister.
Oh, she's an ideal of her time. She's
My
absolutely perfect
my husband
for
is
the time.
my husband's determined she's too skinny. I'm like,
She is too skinny.
no, she's got a dream figure. I love it.
No, she looks like she's gonna snap in half when
Yes.
she's dancing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to like.
No, she's too skinny. I'm
No.
with Jim.
I'm
I
not
love
judging
it.
anybody like
may be the
their bodies, but she is too skinny.
No, see,
You're right.
She's she's
I
way
might
too
be
skinny.
the only one who who likes her figure because even we were watching this vlog, and he's like, "See, this other person also says she's too skinny. She's not. She is the Barbie of her time."
She's an ideal figure of her time.
Now, I figured she probably was cinched in
Wearing
because
a
she's a
corset, yeah.
dancer.
She's probably wearing a corset.
The only part that really
whatever.
bugs me is you remember how last time you wanted to hunt down who was really doing the work, getting credit. I want to know who the real singer was because she didn't actually sing.
Oh, there's that one lady
And
who
she
sang for everything.
But she never got the credit in the movie.
No,
they
I know.
do that, and that bugs me.
I bet somebody who's listening knows, but there's that one lady who sang
all the
everybody.
parts for everything.
Yeah, she was very beautiful herself. I think she may have acted a little bit, but for the most part, she was the cover voice for a lot of people. Rosemary Clooney, I'm sure, really.
Oh
sang.
yeah, she did.
Oh, she absolutely did. She
She's the
even
best
did.
part.
So I was listening to Christmas music, and she actually put out an album of all kinds of songs from White Christmas, that even songs that she didn't originally sing in the movie that she put on
My
this Christmas
mom
album.
had that album, the like Rosemary Clooney album, but she made me listen to it when I was like a cynical teenager, and I freaking hated that Sisters song because I thought it was so annoying, and I had not seen the movie, but now I love that song because I've seen the movie, but for a while I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, do we have to listen to this again? And she would sing along in the car.
Okay, hold that like angry feeling you used to have, and then hold it for 20 years more, and that's Kevin's feeling about White Christmas.
So, what are your? But see, before I ever saw White Christmas, I heard radio commercials for Coronet, and
like
extra value is what you get when you buy Coronet. Yeah, that's Rosemary Clooney.
Oh,
yeah. Coronet was paper plates.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
And other paper products.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that.
oh.
I
And
think
so when someone said George Clooney is the nephew, I'm like, you mean the Coronet paper plate?
The paper plate lady. She's probably known for
and
a
then
lot
I
more
saw White
than
Christmas. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Jose Ferrer. Her son died this year, and he wasn't very old. He was just in his 60s.
Oh, he was on
Miguel Ferrer.
Miguel.
Yeah.
He was the one who was on most recently NCIS Los Angeles, and was it cancer? Because he looked like he was sickly.
Maybe, I don't remember, but he wasn't very old. It's too bad because I also always liked him in whatever I saw him in. I liked him in that one it was Crossing Jordan. That was the cop show he was in that I liked.
I love that show. Everybody in that show, even when they've moved on to other shows, I'm like
I remember him. I love
the
him.
redheaded girl. She's like pretty funny comedian actually, and she's been in a lot of good stuff since then. But anyway, I could still weep over how her character.
See, every show every podcast we could name some kind of entertainment because I mean, how do you do what you do without also watching or listening or?
Isn't that funny though? Don't you think some new people are like, "How are you watching and listening while you're doing this?"
You can knit
because
and
I don't
watch
really
TV at the same time.
I don't really watch TV so much as I listen to TV.
I watch it.
Okay,
Depending on
depends
what
on
I'm
the project.
making. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's got Aidan Turner in it. It's good.
Yeah. I have to wait a while because I never watched season 3, so then I didn't watch season 4 of Poldark. So I'm gonna have some giant binge someday. I just started Justified over again last night because I've never watched the last season because I think I just don't want it to ever be over. But I think I'm gonna make it.
I do that with almost everything. If I really love something, I'm not gonna watch the last episode because I don't want it to end.
Yeah.
I've done that a lot.
Yeah. So I think that I
totally understand that.
Yeah. I think I did that with Downton Abbey too.
Yeah. I don't want it to end, so I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah. So, our topic for today is talking about New Year's resolutions / good habits we've instituted over the years to our creative process. I think Katie comes up with a lot of good ones, and I'm always kind of chasing after her good ideas.
Oh no!
When you organize your Ravelry queue and
oh yeah.
I'm
not good about keeping up with that sort of thing because I'm like, oh yeah, that was a great idea, and now it's a mess again. But I was just in my queue, and I think I use my queue differently than a lot of people do. I think a lot of people throw things in their queue. Mm-hmm. I only put something in my queue if I'm fairly certain I'm actually gonna make it, and I will go in and rearrange it. But I don't often go to look at it when I need a new project. I'm not oh, let's see what's next in the queue.
Yeah, I don't. In fact, after you organized your queue, and moved, like, what I
Yeah.
took from that is I took everything out of my queue pretty much and moved it to favorites. And
Yeah.
then whenever I favorite something, I labeled the snot out of it and
Yeah.
put a lot of
That is
tabs
good
on
Makes
it.
a
practice.
huge difference. Otherwise, you'll never find it again.
Yeah, and so then I don't really use
You know,
my
I
queue
don't-
at all anymore.
I don't find that tagging the things is as important nowadays because you didn't used to be able to search, like advanced search your favorites.
Yes.
So the tags were like, you know, super valuable. But nowadays you can just click on like, I only want to see sweater patterns that I've favorited.
Yes.
And then that makes it a lot easier to find
That is
things,
true.
I feel like.
So I'd become a favoriter and not a queuer.
Yeah.
Because I want to remember to do it later, but if if I put Q, that means I actually intend to do it in the near future. And I almost never remember to look at my queue.
Yeah.
So I feel like I had this stuff in my queue, and maybe I finished it and forgot it was in my queue.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh,
Sometimes
check
I'll
that
go
one
back and
off.
clean out the queue and be like, oh yeah, I never made that, or I made that 2 months ago, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or I lost interest in that one, and I don't want to put something in my queue until I really want to make it.
Yeah.
But then I don't really need my queue because if I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's my obsession.
It's in your head already.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. I have the yarn. It's happening. I'm doing it. Oh, I'm bored now.
Yeah. That's the best part of any project
New
is the
project.
beginning, is planning the yarn and getting the pattern and finding your needles and casting on and then once it's on the needles you're like, okay, let's do that again.
Now I'm obligated.
Yeah.
So is it just go to our consumerism?
I wonder about that. I mean, I definitely have.
It's the thrill of something new.
Well, it's that there's like psychology behind your reward systems,
Yeah.
right? I also I'm sure that I have manic tendencies, which I try to channel that knowledge and like self-knowledge into positive use of my superpower of mania. And so years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I kind of got fed up. So would be my contribution to like what was a habit change that I made. So it's probably many-fold, but it's like I just wanted to finish more things.
Mhm.
Like I didn't care about starting things because there's that Vicky Square article from a long, long time ago in Vogue that I use as my battle cry of like start as many things as you want, because that obsession to start something means that there's some like knowledge that you're wanting to gather, some
Right.
experiential knowledge that you want. So start it and don't feel guilt if you don't finish it, because there's value in learning and starting. But I've just made the promise to myself that if I start something, I'm going to look forward to like how long is it going to take me to do this and try to have fidelity to that finishing of that thing. So I think that really lowered the weight of unfinished projects that I was accumulating. I mean, I still have a lot of unfinished things, obviously, from last time when we
our
went
last
through our
episode.
project bags. But really, I finish a lot more things proportionally to those things I start and abandon, because I made that promise to myself of just like, if I start this, I have to have a plan for seeing it through.
Yeah.
So for the new year, I have this list of sweaters in front of me. There are 8 sweaters that I want to make that I think I have all the yarn for. I do.
Wow.
I want to make X-Gel.
Mm-hmm.
I have Florence. So I made this list on with a sweater that I've already started, which is Florence.
That's a great way to start a list, is with something that's
Yeah.
already half done.
Well, that's how old the list is. It's a couple months old. Florence is a class I'm currently going through, but I spilled tea on the body of the sample I was making. So I've had to rip it out so I can start over and
That's so sad.
distribute the tea stain across it, which is why I shouldn't have a sweater in the color that it is anyway. It's called Oyster, and it's a soft, almost white gray.
That just is always
I
bad
just
news for
shouldn't.
me.
I shouldn't have done it, but it's so pretty.
I feel like I remember you telling me that it was a bad idea for you to be making
Yep.
a green colored sweater.
Yeah. It's
Well,
always a
that's
bad idea
another
for
one
me.
that I'm almost finished. I have
It
like,
could be cream with flecks of something else, but then again, I just spilled matcha last week all
but
over
you recovered, so that's good.
And I needed to wash it anyway. And now it's my favorite sweater again.
Mountain Hum, which is like a really pretty.
I like the name.
It's a pretty yoke sweater, but it's bottom up.
Is that the one with the leaves?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have to.
I am looking that up.
I had
right now.
dyed yarn for the background, but I don't like the shades I got, so I'm gonna like do it in a more disciplined, measured, actual way instead of kind of winging it.
Mm-hmm.
Abelia. Oh, Abelia is really pretty. I'm going to use the yarn that we dyed for our Kickstarter with that. It's a really pretty V-neck sweater. I don't remember if the construction's top down or bottom up, but the bottom half from like maybe the bottom third is this really pretty lace pattern. Guildenstern, I have enough of the two that I made to make a whole third one from my leftovers. There's the Pearl Soho top down sweater, which is done in Fisherman's Rib, and I want to dye yarn. I have the yarn, but I want to dye it. I have yarn for a Sunset Highway and a second fade. So I'm actually going to take these to a calendar.
Ooh.
And I'm going to like reasonably plot out the amount of time that it will take me to do this. Because it has to be mixed in with classes and having time to make class samples. But I really want to make these
So
sweaters.
that kind of segues. If I can be next.
Yeah. Go,
Okay.
Karen. What's
So,
your good habit? New Year's resolution.
I'm always guilty of having a lot of enthusiasm at the beginning and then being squirrel and moving on to something else faster.
Join the club.
One thing that helps curb that lately is shopping through my stash first. And when you go looking through what you have and you see all the yarn that you have partially committed to other things, then you go, well, I can either finish this or I can repurpose it, which is like I did with this sweater, which is fine. But something that's really popular and what has helped me in my daily life is the use of a planner, just with everyday things and business things, and because there's a lot to do, a lot to remember. But I know that some people actually apply that to their crafts. There's the quilter's planner that is like a planner but has spaces for you to actually plan quilts. There's other ways that you can use a planner to do that, to take it to another level as a guideline, not as a oh, I missed that deadline, but just a way to visually space it out and leave a reminder to yourself. And I think this year I'd like to, not just for knitting, but to I'd like to be more regular and intentional. And so maybe I'm not making a plan of what I want to do for the year because I've got stuff on my plate right now, but I do want to maybe put a reminder in my planner, because this year's planner has I ordered extra pages so I can add notes and other stuff into it. Plum Planner is one of my favorite places to go. You can order them in as many months, as few or as little as you want. I think they might have like a 3-month minimum or something like that, but you can start at any month that you want. So if you're partway through and you just want to start, you don't have to start at January. You don't have to start in April and have January through April as a waste. You can start at the month you want it to start at and then do 12 months from there or 13 months from there or whatever. I always tend to go a little over because there's always a little overlap. Like I'm not ready to start the next year, but I need stuff on that calendar soon. But so this year I would like to be more intentional. And actually, if there's one project I want to do is I want to get more into yarn dyeing, but I want to dye with a purpose, dye with a plan. I want to, and I kind of wanted to design something to do with this yarn, because it's great to dye yarn and then I'm like, okay,
now I have more yarn.
Now I got more yarn, but not quite enough to do this thing and too much to do that thing.
Well, and that's something I was observing, because like I think we all have our favorite indie dyers. One that I really like, because a lot of them I just admire and then I don't buy from. But one I really like and I have bought from, she's not going to dye anymore because she feels like it's too saturated. And so I'm wondering if you really wanted to enter the marketplace as an independent dyer right now, if you have to do it in a very like measured way, like this is the yarn for this thing, buy kits for this thing. Yeah. So that's cool.
Well,
I like your idea of, like, as you said, being intentional.
Yeah.
That's because people say that, like, act with intention or whatever, but like having a real direction to apply that. That too is
they seem to be fancy buzzwords unless you actually have something to lay it out with.
Yes.
I do.
You have an intention for your intentions.
Yeah.
Well, we know what road is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
That's the second time I've been told that I'm going to hell. I made a really bad joke that it's completely out of this context, but I was told I was going to hell for it. I was really proud of myself.
I did.
Sorry to leave you all wondering.
I do want to put in a plug for a new friend. She followed me on Instagram, and I looked at her stuff and I liked her stuff, so I followed her. And so, which is great because she's an indie dyer out of Etsy, and she's the Violet Valentine on Marianne Funk. So she's like knit your funk on Etsy or something like that. I just like her stuff. I loved her colors, and I did buy a skein thinking I was going to gift it, but I decided to gift it to me.
I can't help but think that is a missed opportunity for one of our Christmas presents.
It wasn't for either of you.
Okay.
So it was okay.
I want my present.
Oh, I overdid it with you too, but that's okay. Because I feel guilty because, like, well, okay, we won't go there. Anyway,
lowered expectations.
But it was just
Your guys' presents are crap.
made with real. Genuine. Anyway, so it's kind of fun when you meet a friend, you know, that you didn't know you were friends, but somehow you have a lot in common. And I like her stuff, and so when I ordered, you know, she posted a picture of this really pretty color, Christmas colorway.
I'm looking at her stuff right now. I like this getting jingly with it.
That was it. That's
Oh,
it. That's
it's
the
cool.
color. I
That's
love
a
that
good
color.
one.
It's so
Yeah,
cute, and it
it's really
knits
pretty.
really nicely.
Cool.
I have it in the office. I'll show you later. But anyway, it was so cool because I told Key this earlier, but you know, I just ordered because I thought, and you know, she actually sent me a really cool handwritten note, specifically, not like
Thanks for your order.
Yeah, that was just handwritten, but not really specific. She actually said, you know, thank you, Karen. I follow your stuff on Ravelry, and I think your stuff is cute, is cool, and I'm so honored that you picked my stuff. And I'm like, she's like, you made my day, and I'm thinking, you don't know what a crappy week I had. You really made my week. That was awesome. And I just want to send her a note saying thank you so much. But I want to finish knitting up what I'm going to knit. I'm designing a pair of socks with it.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Cool.
Anyway.
Well, do you have anything to add to your... I kind of like just said, this is what Katie's been having.
No, I have been thinking about like a practice that I want to try and be better at in general is cleaning up one project before I start another project.
Oh, that's
and that can be in sewing, but it could be in knitting. It could be in many things. Like my office last week, you guys probably went in there to like drop things off, was an absolute disaster because I had to get so many things done. I was like, I'm not putting anything away. Everything was out.
And
everything
by
was
disaster, we mean
no, it was bad.
It was very clear that she had already wrapped everything and that she had already finished her shopping. That she's not last minute.
Karen
like the rest
is putting
of us.
a really good spin on this. No, I saw the trimmings.
It was a mess.
Thread everywhere.
It was a mess. So
she also had a stack of really nicely neat wrapped presents, but there was thread.
But on the other side of the office, was
I just thought that was normal.
Oh, that is.
Feel good.
So that is my normal. I want to change that. I want to be better at finishing a project, cleaning up all the crap from that project, and then starting my new one. And that also applies to my knitting in the fact that I will finish a project and then all the needles and the leftover yarn and notions live in that project bag until I find it again. I'm like, oh, there's those needles I was looking for.
Yes, I want to be
so
that
it's like,
person.
finish the project, put the needles away, put all the thread away, vacuum your office from all the thread and stuff that's on the floor, and then start a new project.
Which that's really hard to do because it adds time budgeting
Exactly.
into it. And keeping your interest.
Yeah.
Why would you stay interested during the cleaning? But it's a super important.
But I can focus on what my next project better when I'm not distracted by all the junk around me.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So I'm actually more productive and I can focus better on and enjoy what's in front of me when I'm not surrounded and overwhelmed.
And putting your tools away is really important. I'm not good at it either. Like, this is good. My dad was a really amazing woodworker, and then also they had a printing business, so there's like tools for working on the printing presses around. And God help you if you did not put the tools away.
Oh yeah.
And I never really picked that up. I mean, I knew there'd be punishment if you didn't put the tool away, but in my personal life, no.
But if you But if one of your kids were to use some of your tools and not put them away, how would you feel?
They do that and they get screamed at.
Oh, okay.
But my house is a wreck. There are 5 people living there and no one cleaning, myself included.
Oh, yeah.
So until I scream, and then everyone runs and hides, and then my husband's like, all right, to be safe from mom when she gets home, we should probably clean.
You know what? Fear of retribution is always a good motivator.
Isn't it really the motivator?
Like, I don't want to get yelled at. I don't want to
don't-
put myself in that position.
Yeah.
So maybe
That's
I'll
like
be better.
when we started this endeavor and I don't have a real boss to like watch me. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna not like just go crazy, which I do a little bit, but like I need somebody to tell me like, oh, there's a mess over there that you left. Can you go clean that up, please? Otherwise, I will just leave the mess around. And now that I have a space of my own, I need to be better about doing. And I feel like I have done okay, but I could 1,000% be better about that. So that's one thing.
Self-actualization.
Yeah.
You're just becoming a better version of Katie. You don't need anybody but the boss inside to tell
But
you.
I might.
I know. I get it. Man, having gone on a venture where I was my own boss, it's just real nice to lean on somebody else.
Yeah. That is very true.
This is the perfect recipe right here, but I sure like having at my other job not to be the decider or the carrier of the stress.
That is a nice aspect of that.
Yeah.
It's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yep.
And people like will ask me like, "Oh, how are things, going with the studio and stuff?" I'm like, "They're good only because I have 2 partners that I like can trust wholeheartedly. Otherwise,
Oh yeah.
I would be a mess.
If it
like
was-
I'm fine because I have
If
partners.
it were up to
Yeah,
me,
absolutely.
if it was up to me, I'd have failed already.
Oh.
I don't think that that's true.
Because because I wouldn't have stuck to it. I would have started things. It would be like all my started projects.
I could see that
That
in myself.
I'd get
too,
stressed
so.
and then I'd lag behind and then it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think
having
it's-
friends to
yeah.
work together and to encourage each other makes a huge
We have the
difference.
I think it's a perfect blend of obligation to each other to
Mhm.
show up and do a good job, as well as autonomy to
Yeah.
do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own strong suits too,
Yep.
so it's like
It's a
where one
good-
person slacks, the other can
Yep.
pick it up.
It's a good mix, ladies.
Guys, aren't we great?
I think so.
Someone get me a sling.
For how great you are.
No,
Because
because I
she's
just
been patting herself on the
because I
back.
just hurt myself on
Oh,
the
okay,
back.
good. I'm like, how will this sling help?
It is
You gotta track with me. My brain goes way too fast. See, boom, I'm gone already.
Are you saying I'm slow?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Just checking.
I'm sure you're a very intelligent person.
I don't know. I just seem to be an intelligent
You
woman.
seem like a
not a
very
person,
intelligent
a woman.
It was importantly
Oh.
phrased that I
Oh.
seem to be an
You
intelligent
do
woman.
seem to be an
And not
intelligent
even
woman,
just
but you also are an
And he's
intelligent
not,
woman.
just, and not even just a person.
No,
he's,
no.
he's not just
You
intelligent.
said woman.
He's insulting you as a woman
As all
specifically.
things.
Whatever. Whatever.
Oh,
Like here, the W on the forehead.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I could. Anyway.
Yeah.
As my
okay, we
husband
digress.
said, don't let one person ruin your whole day or your whole life. I'm like, I'm not giving this person that much power. I just needed to rage about it and then
You can move on.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some sweaters that you want to make in the new year, Karen. Do you have like some dream projects that you'd like to make in the new year?
I have
Do you
some
intend
dreams,
on making?
I have some dream sewing projects.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I
Yeah,
have
it doesn't
some-
have to be knitting.
I have some sewing projects that I started that are I cut the fabric out. Like there's the metamorphic dress by So Liberated. I have
Oh,
the
I've seen that.
fabric. It's so cool. You can wear it. It's 2 different layers, like 2 different dresses together. And so you wear it with one side facing, or you can turn it inside out and wear the other side, and it's just a slightly different look. That one looks really good. I have some projects that I'd like to just sit and sew. Actually, I think I want to do more designing this year.
That's cool.
My goal is I have a really great Viking inspired capelet. I've got professional photography, and my goal, at least for the first quarter of this year, is to get it written and released. And I am okay by the time by the time this airs, y'all could still be getting ready. We released Frisia, and I'm gonna do a knit along. I haven't run a knit along online before, so that's a new goal. Starting January 20th, and information will have been on the website long before, hopefully by Christmas. Well, maybe after Christmas.
The website. Our website?
No, in our Ravelry group is where I'm going to run the knit along from. So it's in the strings. If you're not following us on Ravelry, it'll be in the Strings and Things Studio Ravelry group on forums or groups or wherever you find it. I'm not the Ravelry one. Well, you go to groups, and once you've joined the group, it's in your forums.
All right.
Or I guess forums are just for the discussion, but if you want to stay on top of this discussion. And then later off air, I'll ask Katie how to sticky something.
Yeah.
So that the topic stays on top of our discussion page. And maybe we'll be more active on our Ravelry group. Or at least for the life of the 6 to 8 weeks of the knit along, I will be more active. How's that? I see Anne going, yes, Karen, yes, you finally got it. A solution that fits us all.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my goals are small,
Are they?
but
Are they attainable?
They're reasonable.
Yeah.
my goal is I'm just taking it one quarter at a time. I'm not going to plan out the whole year, or I'll already be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I want to work on January through March, and then sometime mid-March, I'll start planning the next quarter.
That sounds like a very reasonable and achievable mindset.
Because I always overdo it, so there you go.
Here you go. Well, our question of the episode, hang on while I pull it up, was I don't have it in front of me right now, but it was basically like, are there any patterns or sort of fads in the knitting community, I think specifically, but it doesn't have to be, that you really don't get or that you don't like, I guess.
Or maybe it just doesn't appeal.
It doesn't, you don't get the appeal that everybody
like
else seems to get, I guess.
the hype. You don't understand what's the big whoop-de-doo about.
Does anybody have one to go first?
Well, this brought to mind some interesting takes on what does that mean, like the thing that you just don't get or don't want to participate in while everybody's going crazy for it around you. And it made me think of a shawl that so many people knitted at Anacapa, and I helped so many people with it that by the time I sat down to do one, I cast it on and worked the first few rows and was like, I don't want to make this.
You kind of feel like you've already made
over it.
I felt like I made it like at least 10 times over, seeing other people go through it, and that was the peace shawl. And I still, when I see people wearing it, I still wish that I had made one, but I think I would still have the same feeling if I sat down to cast it on. I've got the pattern somewhere. I don't recall who the designer was, but it's called the peace shawl. Would you wear it? Probably. I love shawls, like at the right yarn. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. Because the way so you make a little. So many shawls. It's a triangular shaped shawl where the yarn over increases make a peace sign, and so where the bottom of the peace sign is, it almost has this like pleated ruffle because of the way the yarn overs line up, and so it's very pretty. So yeah, I'd wear it. Then there was ruffle yarn. Oh. I really didn't get that. We liked selling it.
I designed something in that yarn.
Yeah, it got real tedious explaining it to people. And when I sat down to use it, it was like, why am I doing this when I could just be knitting in something nice?
People still love that ruffle stuff. Someone in this world is still buying it because I designed a spiral Nautilus-like shawl for that because I wanted to see it opened up. And it ruffles like crazy. And I'm not a ruffly person. But
that was really pretty though.
That was 8 years ago? Mm-hmm. It still has been downloaded every single day since then. It was a freebie. Do you know how rich I would be if I just charged $1?
Yep.
But then again, maybe not.
Yeah.
You know?
People are downloading it because it's free.
And I even made a YouTube video on, which my 10-year-old son at the time, it was 8 years old, 8 years ago, because he's almost 18 now. I guess he was 9, 10. He showed me how to upload it to YouTube.
That's adorable.
That's adorable.
Very
Mommy,
cute.
help me. Anyway, but I was like, and people are still making it.
Huh.
But I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's very popular in Europe still.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I was not going to like this new yarn. Have you guys seen the loopy yarn where it's no needle, no tool knitting?
I vaguely, but I don't know anything about it.
It looks like a boucle.
But with really long loops.
Yeah. So what it is like, it's usually a soft yarn, like a soft chenille or just like a soft chainette, and it's been sewn down like with a chain stitch to have a big loop and then a little, and so it's what your knitting looks like if you looked at how the yarn snakes through a row of knitting, and you line up a set of loops and then you push one in behind each one, and you just do it with your fingers, and you keep doing that, and the pattern has you making stockinette, but quickly, if you really look at the structure, you could easily make ribbing.
Yeah.
You can make seed stitch, you can make it all.
Oh,
It's just a matter of like if you go front and back.
Right.
I haven't seen any patterns doing that yet, but I'm sure it's around the
You
corner.
could do that.
I'm not gonna.
You could be the
But someone brought it to my attention, and we worked on how to do it, and I was like, this is kind of fun. I think my kids would like it, and so I bought some for each of my 2 younger kids to make them. But both of them were like, this is so slow. So they both did actual finger knitting, where you put the loops on your fingers, and then they did it, which doesn't work for an adult hand because our hands are too big for the way that these sewn down loops are spaced, but it's perfect for a little kid's hand.
Seeing the loops on the hands reminded me, for some reason, maybe because it's by the holidays, of eating olives off the tips of the fingers.
Yeah.
Because the way they were pulling it over.
And they're perfectly sized for children's fingers.
Yeah. That's good. I like that memory.
Memory, I did that last week.
Just kidding. She was doing it at Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
All 10 little black fingertips. Yum, yum, yum.
Or green. No, greens are too big.
Yeah, because I have a pimento in there anyway, so, or whatever. I'm sure there's other things because I'm full of reaction and opinion, but those are the things that come to mind right now.
I was thinking about like when I started to learn to knit, novelty yarn was like at its peak,
the thing,
which I never really did a whole lot with because I was in high school, and I think the novelty yarn lent itself well for like scarves, and it was kind of fluffy, frilly kind of stuff that I just wasn't into.
Eyelash yarn and
ladder
yarn.
So I didn't do a whole lot of that, but now that it's sort of back, I've seen more and more of that kind of stuff, and I'm kind of into it now. I just saw this yarn. I think it's by Lion Brand, and it's called like. Oh, I just took a picture of it because I was like, you know what? That's actually kind of pretty.
Well, that's funny because Mirabella, we went to Eva's, and I guess in her back room is where all the sale stuff is, and I'd never been in there on a visit, but my daughter found this yarn called Tutu that was by Barocco, and it was $15 for a little, probably 40 yards, and it's tulle and pom-poms tied around a core. So she finger knitted this scarf, and she's making it's hot pink and then other flecks of color. She's like, this looks like an old timey rocker would wear it. And I think she means by old timey rocker, like maybe a 80s punk rocker. Whereas when I was growing up, if I said an old timey rocker, it would be like a 50s.
Yeah, like Elvis or someone.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I take offense. 80s is not old timey.
Well, it is when you're 10.
It is when you're 7.
Yeah, I remember thinking that like poodle skirts and stuff were ancient, right? Like ancient history, and it's the same amount of age back from my mom's generation to mine. But an old-timey rocker would love this scarf with the hot pink tulle.
So cute.
My first projects had eyelash yarn sock cuffs.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And which was fun because, it covered a lot of mistakes, but then the other hand, it covered them because you couldn't see your mistakes.
Yeah.
I just had this idea that my nieces would love funky socks with eyelash yarn at the cuffs. And they didn't.
They did not like it?
They did not. They did not.
They were probably that age.
Yeah.
Probably the teenage.
Yeah. But like, they would nowadays because faux fur is very in right now. This yarn from Lion Brand is called Go for Faux, and look at this.
Oh, yeah, I have seen that. Yes.
It's just like fuzzy eyelash faux fur yarn.
Yes.
Okay, but
But I feel like a scarf in that would be kind of cute.
Yeah.
okay, but that's more. It's kind of like the yarn equivalent of Minky.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of like Sherpa.
Yeah.
Sherpa.
I
It's
bought
that's not the
something
same
like
as.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I bought something like that when we were in Switzerland, and I have these plans for it. It'll be like a stranded little tuft
Oh yeah.
coming through.
So that doesn't really answer the question because I am in that.
Yeah, but
I
weren't
was
when it
not.
new.
No.
Yeah.
I tend to be the sort of person, I think, that like the opposite of Anne. Like I'll jump on the bandwagon, and Anne's like, I am not getting on that bandwagon.
Oh, there's a bandwagon?
Yeah. No, I'm like the one on it, like probably driving it.
It's the reins.
Like,
You have the reins.
Yep. I will hold on. And like far past anybody, everybody else has gotten off the bandwagon. And I'm still over here doing whatever it is that I'm doing. But, so I don't have as many, like, especially like it patterns. There's some that I don't always see I'm not going to name them like, specifically, but there's some that I just don't see the appeal in general. But as far as like fads go, I feel like I'm usually jumping in with both of my feet. So
no, you haven't
so
got
I don't
anything
think I
in
do
mind.
have that.
Okay, me and fads. Me and fads are like me in the woods. I'm walking along completely ignorant of it until my family goes, Karen, stop, there's a bear.
Oh, that
And the
was a
bear
thing?
and the bear was the fad that I just missed and I walked right past.
Oh, thank you for explaining what the bear was.
Yeah, the bear was the fad that I just missed
That you just
until,
totally missed.
I thought it might be the trees, really.
Yeah.
No, I see the
forest
trees.
with
I see the trees. I don't see the bear.
the bear.
The bear that's
That's
like
funny.
10 feet from me. It's like, oh, there went the fad. Okay. By the
Yeah.
time I get to, I'm like, oh.
Somebody told me that brioche was going to be out this year, and I was like, "You shut your mouth."
Yeah. Brioche is gonna. Oh, brioche! I gotta add that to my list.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
have
what
that.
that
I
is.
have that pattern.
It's
It's
a
awesome.
Stephen West. Oh my gosh, you must.
I don't know what that is.
BRI.
You are the queen of brioche. How do you not know what that is?
That's Nancy Marchand. I mean, I really
Yes,
like
yes,
Katie.
yes.
I enjoy brioche, but I do not.
Within our circle.
BRIYOKE.
YOKE.
Brioche.
I'm gonna find it because I actually have it in my life.
There's a pattern called the unicorn sweater,
What?
and it's got brioche, like this, like turtleneck, like faux turtleneck top, and then on the cuffs and sleeves, and it's so cute.
That does sound really cute.
The pattern, like her sample, is in like teal and hot pink, like unicorn colors. You would really like it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is
Let me see.
that's not it, right?
No, but that one's cute too.
That is
There are
cute.
actually
This
two-
is Brioche by Matilda Cruz, which I
They're-
really like.
I like that one too. There are two popular sweaters with that name.
That's really cute. So who's the other one?
It's a Stephen West,
Steve.
and I
And
don't.
the whole yoke is brioche.
The whole sweater's brioche.
The whole sweater's brioche.
But it's
yeah.
there's
Oh,
color
no.
changes in the yoke to amp it up. But I like both of them a lot.
Because it wouldn't be Stephen
isn't it
West if it
coming up?
wasn't amped up. Is our Wi-Fi like really slow right now?
Mine's working. I just maybe I'm
Let's see if
searching
I
the
can
wrong
find
thing.
it.
I
could be
love.
calling it
I
the
have
wrong
not
thing.
made. Oh, there it is. I have not made brioche in a sweater before.
I
But
still want to
I
make
was
it.
doing it in pieces once, but then I got bored.
This
Never
is
finished it.
nice, but I like the other one better.
Huh.
That's really cute. Anyway,
I would just
I
like
like
a
half
really intense brioche project. That, like, of course, I have the Pearl Soho top-down sweater is
fisherman.
it's
rib.
fisherman's rib, so I think it'll probably satisfy that
Yeah,
urge.
I.
I don't know if it's brioche all the way down.
It looks
Is
like
it?
it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see it now. Now that I highlight it, it's just the ones that enlarge it.
And I think the color choices you make would amplify that one.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of his samples is like shades of gray with like a pop of like a mustardy color. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. But I like the one that has the orange and then it's
Turquoise.
where the
and-
yolk is very
Yeah.
distinguished,
I
distinctive. That's
choose
the word.
carefully with my Stephen West patterns, like
Yes.
which ones I. So there's not a. I don't always understand all of the hype behind his patterns.
Yes.
I do really like a lot of them, and I have made a few of them that I have very much enjoyed.
Yes.
But sometimes I'm like, I think people make it because it's a
It's
Stephen
his.
West pattern.
I think it's good that he's so prolific because
Yeah.
there's probably something
It is pretty
someone
amazing.
will like.
And I love him. Like
Yes.
I'm 100% here for like his like
Yes.
crazy artistic like photo shoots and
Yes.
his style and all that. Like
Yes.
you do you. I'm really liking it, but I wouldn't I wouldn't wear most of those things.
Well, there's a couple. First of all, the fit is not always what I'm looking for.
Right.
Like there's a sweater that looks kind of like a batwing style that some people have asked me about teaching.
That
and
it
it's
kind of
like,
comes across one up to the shoulder.
no, that one I really like. So sometimes it's like you have to put his patterns into the common
Enchanted
people's.
Mesa is
Yeah.
the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I
I
actually
love that one.
really love that one.
And I feel like that's the sort of
'Cause
story
you
that
kinda
looks
have to-
cute on a lot of people.
You
Yeah.
kind of have to see it in the real world, like
Yeah.
much. I mean, he's got a very high fashion ideal.
Yeah.
and so
But you have to see what it looks like on not a real person, but your average
in
person.
real life.
Yeah.
or in the color choices that someone's going to actually integrate into.
Yes,
The
that's
regular-
what Ravelry
a regular
is great
ward-
for because you
a
can see all the
wardrobe
projects.
outside of a photo shoot.
Yes. I mean, he does wear all the things he makes.
Yeah.
We saw him
Yes.
in his full body brioche pajama onesie. That was awesome. But he's still a high fashion minded person.
Yeah.
So,
But if you've ever talked to him, he is the most quiet, introverted kind of guy. And yet, but I had some of his early patterns, and it's been neat to see the transition of his personality over the decade plus.
Yeah.
like all artists, to watch them evolve and explore, it's a delight.
I love that he has no qualms about being exactly who he is
Yes.
and designing exactly what you know he wants to design.
Yes.
And it's like, that's the sort of thing that I really like to see.
Yes.
I might not get all of it, or I might not appreciate all of it,
Yeah.
but I appreciate him as a designer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Swants.
I made swants.
You
Oh my
made
god, I
swants?
forgot about
What?
that.
What?
I made
What?
swants and I wore them to Christmas like 3 years
Wait,
ago.
wait.
Oh,
You stuck with pants.
No.
made from
This was like you took a sweater that was already made. Like I bought it at the Goodwill,
it was-
and he had this pattern to like cut it and shape it, and then all of a sudden there were
Oh.
pants, and I completely forgot that I made swants.
I want.
Oh my gosh, I want to make more
I
swants.
want to see those.
I wonder whatever happened to my swants.
Oh.
It was probably like at least. Now I'm thinking about it. It was probably like when it first came out, and I don't know when that was, but I think I wore them to Christmas.
3 years.
I think it was more than that. I'm gonna Google it. Swants.
That would be like a fad that I was like, oh, that was a thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was because
I
I
was
caught
aware
it,
of it.
and I, like I said, he had this whole video called the Swants Dance.
Yes.
Okay, now I gotta
That's
find it.
so
This was
fun.
2013, so it was 5 years
Oh
ago.
wow. God,
I
time flies.
forgot about my swants.
I
They
didn't
were very
realize-
ill-fitting, but I very
didn't-
much enjoyed them.
I didn't
Okay.
realize ruffle yarn was so long ago. Even
Speaking of, he has Marled Mania leggings, and I'm working on those.
Yeah, those are great.
Those look like I just want to wear them all the time. I want to live someplace where it's cold enough for me to wear them all the time.
you don't think it's cold enough in Fillmore in the
It is
morning?
now. Well, it is now.
You
It's
probably could.
41 degrees.
I would wear them like as pajamas, like at night. I'm cold or
I
whatever.
get too hot.
Sad.
I would just wear them. I wouldn't need a blanket.
I was disbelieving my son that our house was too cold because he's like, Mom, I haven't been able to sleep well because I'm just too cold. And like, well, add more blankets. And I don't know what your problem is because
I
I'm
sleep
like,
better when it's
yeah,
cold.
or I'm like so hot that I'm kicking the blanket off. And then my husband went away for a weekend and he took it Mirabella. So Dante's room was just a little bit colder. And I had to double up on quilts and it wasn't like any colder than it had been. So obviously I have this like living heater.
You have a space
my
heater in your bed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really makes a big difference.
Living space heater.
So I realized I was maybe Dante needs like a space heater.
Are you a cuddler?
No.
Mm-mm.
I would like to be, but like we just get uncomfortable too quickly.
I'm a cuddle for 30 seconds and then give me my space.
And Kevin is very hot, so if you get too close, it's just sweaty.
Yeah.
I don't mind cuddling. It's just that like your arm falls asleep, or it's hard to find the comfy spot, or
James and I talked the other night about the benefits of separate beds as
I know.
as a married
Yeah.
couple, and I was like, I don't think we've been married long enough to,
No.
to be there.
Okay, so my
No.
my grandparents had separate beds.
Yeah.
And it happened. So my grandfather is the son of a French immigrant who is like very stubborn and set in his way of like, it was Emil's way or the highway. And so they had 2 children, my grandfather and my great aunt, and that was enough. They had their boy and they had 1 more to show they could have another. So my dad was the 3rd child, and I have 2 aunts older than him. And while my grandparents were away on a trip and my great-grandmother was watching the kids, they had farmhouses that were directly across from each other. So my great-grandfather could get up and look into their kitchen to make sure that my grandfather was up and ready to go and work.
Right.
So very, intrusive lifestyle. So great grandma is watching the kids while my grandparents are gone, and my grandparents get home, and gone is their double bed, and there are 2 twin beds across the room from each other in their bedroom. And my grandmother's like, she can't believe what's happened. Her white hot anger is something I inherited, so I can absolutely picture how livid Grandma like Ravane is. And my great grandmother says to her, this is her mother-in-law, says, "Well, we think that you're done. You have 2 girls and you got your boy. 3 is enough. I mean, really, having another would just be showing off."
Because that's the only reason for sharing a bed.
So,
Like you get a say in it.
yeah, well, so
I would get pregnant just to show you.
it's just so you know, she was already pregnant with the 4th child. And then my mom said something about like, oh, she's pretty sure twin beds didn't stop.
I was gonna say, I think that's probably a workaround. Like, if you really wanted to make it work, you can make it work. I think.
Ozzy and Harriet had separate beds, and they managed to have kids.
Yeah, right. So, but
That's really
actually, upon further examination, twin beds might be great. But what Kevin and I have settled on, and we've talked to some of our other friend couples, that just having separate blankets is really,
yeah.
Yes,
We already do that.
That's for the win.
So a friend of mine, the secret to the longevity of their marriage was not just separate beds, but separate bedrooms.
I like that too.
Because she liked all the covers and so many pillows. You really had no room on it. And mostly, she wanted to be able to sleep and not have to deal with the CPAP machine or a really loud noise.
See, I don't mind my husband's CPAP. I think it's a lot quieter than people of
This
past.
was a while ago.
Yeah.
But they didn't mind. It actually, because he liked the style of he liked his bed unmade, and she liked everything tidy and neat. And so it worked for them.
I was having a dream last night, actually, that I was going to end up with this 6-bedroom house. There's like a lot of drama that went along with getting this 6-bedroom house. But part of it was like, wow, what would we do with 6 bedrooms? There's like 5 of us, and one of them's going to move out
All the more bedrooms
soon.
they have to clean.
Well, so the allure actually would be for me to have my own room, and Kevin to have his own room.
Yeah.
And then I like sharing a bed with him.
Yeah. That's like, if James and I ever, like, we don't have children / are not going to have children, so if we bought a house, James would have a room, I would have a room, and then you also have a bedroom.
Yeah.
But you could do in your room whatever you want to do in your room.
He has a man cave. You'd have your gal place or whatever you want to call, whatever people call them.
She shed.
I hate that.
It's not a shed. That's just awful. Yeah, go stick you in the shack.
Yeah.
She shack.
Anyway.
Craft room. I mean, lots of places. If you watch House Hunters, it's not just there. You'll have this couple with no kids, and they want a 5-bedroom house.
Oh, jeez.
Because they work from home, and they can work. They have their office.
I mean, if you can
and then
afford it, then buy as many rooms as you can buy.
Have it.
Well, I think that's makes
everything.
the end of our episode.
Yeah.
I hope you guys all have a great, had a great holiday and a happy New Year, because you'll hear this right at the beginning of the year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Happy New Year and happy holidays and happy Martin Luther King Day. And
yeah. What else happens in January?
Groundhog's Day's not for a while.
I think
but
Cesar Chavez Day is in there, maybe
Okay.
not. Anyway,
Happy all the things.
Yeah, all the things.
Anyway,
Okay, bye guys.
bye.
Bye.
Coming to you from Strings and Things Studio, Karen put down the candy.
unwrap one at the same time.
You should keep
Take
it
it.
on. Keep it on.
Um,
Keep it going.
Unwrap your candy. I'm gonna put bloopers at the end. I always say I'm gonna do that, and I never have.
I'm my favorite now. Go ahead and share what candy in your mouth.
No.